What's good, Joe? Welcome to my review for this week's episode of Sword Art Online, Alicization, Underworld. And man, yo, this episode was fucking fire, man. Like this episode, this was definitely one of the best episodes of SAO. Definitely. This episode was fucking awesome, man, especially with the return of Kayuba, which I fucking called it! I fucking called it, man. I fucking called it. I don't know. Wait. I fucking called it, man. So, yeah. Y'all can go back to some of my earlier reviews. I think when the second OP for War of Underworld came out for like the second half of the season dropped, I had some theories going on that it might be Kayuba making his return. And look, here he is! Lo and behold, Kayuba is back. So, I got that one right. And man, today is going to be a good day. We had SAO start the day, then I got All Out later on, and then I'm going to end the night off with Toonami. Well, and also, and yesterday we had the Miami Heat go 3-0, although the Lakers lost to Houston, but hey, whatever, it is what it is. I have a feeling we'll probably take game 2, probably, on Sunday. But anyway, we are not here to talk basketball, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to talk Sword Art Online. So anyway, man, let us jump right in. So we start this episode off. We actually started off with Rinko kind of going on what happened with her perspective right before Asuna and Alice, or right before Asuna decided, you know what, I'm gonna stay here with my boy Kirito and all that shit. So she like disconnects or whatever Alice, and we see her like little light cube come out of like this little thing on the desk thing. She opens up like this glass like cube thing that protects, like it's like some super secret button that you gotta press, like the secret red button that you're not supposed to press, and you gotta open the thing up and then hit it with and all that shit. Anyway, so she grabs it and she says that she has a light cube. She tells excuse me. She tells Austin, okay, now's your time to log out to his call, because by this point, the timer is like around 40 seconds. And Austin says, sorry, I'm going to go stay with Kirito. And so she decides, so she tells her she can stay with Kirito. She says to tell everyone, I'm sorry, and goodbye, and she says, see you, and she says goodbye. Almost like, it was like a buzzer beater right there. She said, sayonara, and then bam, it hits 0, and then, which I love the sound effect they use right when it hits 0, and and the clock or whatever, the eternal speed for the Underworld is sent to overdrive. I love the sound of it once it reaches its max. It sounded pretty cool. So anyway, that was actually nice to see that we actually saw it from Rinko's perspective, and also from what happened right before she started to stay with Kirito. I thought that was pretty cool. So anyway, after that, she puts the thing. We see Kiko and Higa. They're going down the staircase, and they're going down the staircase. They're going down the ladder to get to the blockhead. And one of the guys, and then we get back to Rindo, and one of the dudes say, "Hey, we're ready to open the blockhead. You know, just tell us when to do it." She's like, "Okay." So then she also puts the light cube inside this briefcase, all padded up and everything. It's pretty cool. Oh, and yeah, whatever. So then we get back to Higa and Kikoka, and then Kikoka tells Kiku, excuse me, tells Higa why he's doing this and why he's doing it. I mean, he always thinks of the worst case scenario, and that it's better for right now to let these guys think or think that they still have the chance of getting Alice's life. So then they reach the bottom of the ladder or whatever. Higa tells Rinko to open up the hatch. She opens up the hatch, and Critter, I think his name is, right? The guy that's worked at the computer for Gabriel's crew. He notices that somebody's like, what the hell? They mostly already have her light cube. Why would they just sit there and open up the blockhead again? Wouldn't they check? Wouldn't they just stay there and wait for the the defense force, the JDSF, I think that's what it was called, the defense force or whatever, just wait for them to take it out. So then they end up sending his whole crew, or most of his crew. He keeps one guy with them and tells them to go over there and to regain control of the blockhead. And one of the best comments, "You make it sound easy," and then they walk off to go take care of that. And then the other guy, this bald dude, he tells him that we're going to go check out this cable duct because I think that's where they're actually on. So he goes over there. So then we get back down there, and we got Kiku and Kikoka and Higa. They're both looking. They're already down like this little like hatch or whatever. This little like platform. Excuse me, platform. And Higa's doing this thing on the laptop and everything to log out Kirito and Asuka. And also one other thing I've also got to mention. I think this was actually right before after the OP play, and we were back with Rindo, and the dude told her, and the dude told her that they were ready to unlock the hatch. We see that she has like this timer on top of on the big screen, and it says like 10 minutes, and she commented that it's already been like 10 years have already passed there. So at this point, I even mentioned this in my reaction, I'm pretty sure, that I feel like I'm watching Interstellar, because you guys remember, if you guys Interstellar, which honestly you asked me was probably Christopher Nolan's weakest film, at least from the ones I've seen. It wasn't a bad film, it just was really slow and just not really my kind of thing. It was a great movie just because of the acting, the way it was shot, the CGI, just the look of the film was fantastic. But the overall, it just felt a little too slow for me. It was still a great film, but I'm not gonna really be any real rush to rewatch it. It was good, but I've seen better from Christopher Nolan, if you ask me. It was a great film, and I understand people, massive sci-fi heads, love that film, and they think it's like the second coming of Christ, whatever. If you love the movie, I can see why, but it just wasn't. But it was just a little too slow for me. Anyway, only thing I remember from that movie is Murph. Anyway, as I was saying, you guys remember they were on that like sea planet or whatever, and they mentioned there that I think they said 2 minutes that passed there is 5 years on Earth, I think it was something along those lines. Either way, it was time is slower there than it is on Earth. And the same thing kind of happened here, and it just kind of reminded me of Interstellar. So I mentioned that. Anyway, so then we're back with Critter and the other dude. They get down there. They notice their informant is on the ground, dead, lifeless, blood everywhere. We know the dude is it because I think I mentioned this in either my review or my reaction to that episode when he slipped off that platform. I thought, watch, he probably is hanging on to one of the dogs. He's probably hanging on to a lower platform. He's gonna climb back up. We know that is not the case, and that he is dead. Because as we see his lifeless corpse right there with blood all over him, with blood by his head, and they kind of kick him over, they lightly kick him over to see, and he's like, oh, isn't that our Wrath informant? And they mentioned how did they know that he was a spy, or that he was a spy, and that they went to execute him. And the next thing we know, Kikoka is out there firing off his pistols, trying to shoot at them, and he ends up killing the bald guy, but Critter manages to get out of dodge. Now, actually, I'm gonna be real. I'm going to mention this right now because of what happens later on in the episode. Is that I actually did not pick up the dude actually died there when I first watched the episode because of what happens later on once Critter can make their escape. And with the body box and everything, with the body bags and everything, because I was kind of confused on what the hell they were talking about with that one scene. And when I went back to rewatch the episode after I finished doing my reaction to make sure to look over and everything before I began recording, that's actually when I know. That's when I noticed the body. I was like, oh, now okay. Because I'll talk more about that scene when we get there, because that kind of threw me for a loop when I first watched the episode. Anyway, so he goes over, so that he finds out that he's dead, and he's like, oh shit, what do we do now? He's thinking about maybe going to last resort, going to the last resort. But he needs the cap, but he can't do that without the captain first, without asking the captain first. So then we cut over to Gabriel. He's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. He wakes up and laughs. And if you paid attention, at least in the earlier parts of this one part of the episode right here, you may have noticed, like I did, there was a blue hue around him, which at first I was kind of like, why is there a bluish hue around him? It took me, and now at first I thought it might have been something with the lighting or something, but we ended up finding he looks around, he kind of notices it, he looks behind him, there's still his body right there with this face on it, just just pain, anguish, fear, I don't know. It looked like something you would see it. What happened to Masago? It looked like something from fucking Junji Ito, probably. Gabriel, it was kind of like what you kind of expect, something from a horror movie or something, someone that looks like they're dead, and all that shit. It was pretty clear. I'll probably end up using it in the thumbnail, actually, Low-key, I might have that in the thumbnail. Not sure. But anyway, he notices me, and he's starting to freak out. He's like, oh shit, that's me. And then he turns around, and there's Alicia, which I was glad to see Alicia, make her return. Because after we saw her like that one, or like once we saw her a couple times with Gabriel throughout when we first got introduced to him in the first half of War of Underworld, and then when he logged in, I think like the first episode, the second half, I was always wondering like, oh, like is she connected to Alice, Alicia? And it looks like we're not going to get those answers, and she's just kind of there as just like a spirit from his past coming back to collect, I guess, which kind of disappointment. Maybe there was more of her in the light novels, a little bit more extra seasoning with her in the light novels. That got cut out. I'm not sure. But I was kind of hoping there'd be a little bit more with Alicia and Gabriel and Alex, considering how that was kind of like the focal point of the season, of what's going on with them, like that with those three kind of going at. But hey, whatever. Maybe I was just getting myself overly hyped, probably. That was probably me. It might have just been me, yeah, like I said, yeah, anyway, I'm just, whatever. Anyway, so he notices that, so Alicia comes in there, and he's like, oh, Gabe, you finally come to the other side, huh? And Gabe's like, he's like, yeah, it's cold here, let's go, Alicia. And the next thing we know, she like grabs like two of his fingers, like right forward, not like a, okay, let's go grab, more of like a, motherfucker, get over here type of grab, Like, mother. And so the next thing we know, they slowly start to descend into the water, and then he's like, wait, what the fuck? He's trying to get out of there. He kind of moves out where she is, and he's like pulling away from her, but he keeps singing. Then these other hands start coming up to drag him down. He's just screaming, Yamero, Yamero, Yamero. Also, by the way, you guys hear anything in the background, my mom's vacuuming right now. So if you hear anything else in the background, that's why. Anyway, and he's like, yeah, and by the way, props to Gabriel's voice out here. He was great right here. And you guys might remember, if you guys have been watching my reviews for War of Underworld since the start, but after Gabriel got introduced, you guys know I made some comparisons to Kira, like Yoshikage Kira from JoJo Part 4. And I don't know if Reki, I wouldn't be surprised if Reki was inspired by Kira, considering how similar their designs are and everything, because he even goes out kind of like Kira in this one, which... So I guess, spoiler alert for Part 4 for any of y'all that still have not seen Part 4, which you should. And watch it dubbed, and watch it stubbed, however you do, just watch it. Part 4 of JoJo is fucking fantastic. Anyway, the one thing I found, you guys remember in Part 4, what happened was where he and it was almost kind of similar to where he thought he survived for a minute, but then he realizes he's just a spirit. So, I swear to God, there has to be some similarities here. There has to be some... this has to be a nod to Part 4. No way this is just a coincidence. Anyway, you guys remember he was a spirit, then Remy showed that he thought he, survived and he got out of it. And the next thing you know, Remy shows him that he indeed did die, and he's just a spirit at this point. And so then she, tricks him to go over the mailbox or whatever, and then he turns around... And then he sees this, and then all those hands from all the evil spirits or whatever drag him into wherever that hole went to, So and then I hear where he's sinking into the water with all these hands grabbing him and Alicia dragging him in. Very similar, man. Very similar. I don't know if that was done for now. Maybe it's almost coincidence, but I think our boy Reki might be not only been inspired by Bleach for a lot of this, but also JoJo as well, which. Given his age, it wouldn't surprise me. Because I believe he's in his 40s, right? Anyway, so that was pretty cool to see. And I was I mentioned my reaction, nice knowing you, Kier, nice knowing you, Gabriel, you were the best villain of SAL. So that was pretty cool. I thought that whole death sequence right there was really done really well. And so then Critter gets inside there. He sees them both, and at first he thinks he's alive, and then he looks at him, he's dead. And also, one thing I found kind of weird is actually he was gripping the STL unit he was in, gripping the sheets or whatever, the mattress or whatever that cushion was that he was on top of. He was gripping it. His fingernails, the nails themselves, the top part, the whole top of your fingernails that keep that. Ugh. If you guys want to know what's one thing that gets me cringing instantly, it's when you rip someone's fingernails off, the whole thing off, what happened in Kakegurui. Oh, bro, when I saw that for the first time, man, was cringing. Oh, that's something you don't fuck with when it comes to me, man. No. That had me cringe the first time, but it's his fingernails were coming off. And then the look on his face was even, I think, more horrifying than it was before. So Gabriel's dead. Critter is oh shit, he stopped, I think he fell down, and then he goes right up to Fazawa, tells him to wake up, and then we see him, his hair is completely white, and Yeah, his hair is completely gray. His skin looks like pretty much like tree oak, and he looks old as shit. Like there's wrinkles all over his face and everything. And he too has another horrifying expression on his face. And so I'm like shocked. And then right after that, he's like, "Oh my god!" And then we get back to Gabriel why do I keep saying Gabriel? Critter. He's now back in the main control unit. And he pretty much tells everyone that Bridges is dead, as well as Masago and the captain. So one of the guys goes and grabs his gun and tries to go over there and take his revenge. But they say, "Look, they already got Alice's life cube. There's no reason for us to keep fighting. Time for us to cut our costs. It's time for us to cut our losses and leave, and retreat." And the dude isn't happy with that. He's like, "Come on, but we still have orders. If we can't get it, destroy it." So he's like thinking about "Come on, dude, you have something. Surely you have some sort of idea to take care of this." And so he thinks about it. He's like, "Oh, there's that, but I can't do that without the captain." The dude tries to tell him, and the dude's like telling him to tell him. Then he points his gun and he's like, "Motherfucker, tell me your idea." He didn't say all that, but might as well have. And he says, the main core, he says he says the engine, and I'm like, engine. I think he's like trying to play a plan to like blow it up or whatever. So then we head over back to Rinko. She tells them, we find out that they've pretty much reached the 10-minute mark, and the Kirito and Ashina is about to reach their maximum memory capacity. So like they're starting to get. So this is when it starts to get shit's gonna get real with them in a second. And I wouldn't be surprised in the next, since they turn this whole episode focused on Rinko and Higa and the other guys. I wouldn't be surprised if next week is going to, and especially with the post-credits, next week's going to be everything Kirito and Ashina did in the 200 years leading up to them logging out. I wouldn't be surprised that's what the next episode is. That's at least my assumption anyway. So anyway, so one of the dudes mentions that the like head of security dude tells them that they're retreating. Rinko's like, "Wait, what? They're retreating?" He shows them up he shows them like some of the video feed from the cameras, and shows them retreating over to like the submarines. But then they start hearing like these vibrations going on inside of Raft. They look over and they find out that the main core of the engine is like in hyperdrive, like the pressure, the water pressurizers or whatever are sent to maximum, and then most likely they're gonna blow and there's also a bomb planted on it, so most likely it's gonna blow up. And he also meant something about the boat, the thing can't descend, that the water reactors can't descend or whatever. And so I'm assuming with how pressure that's all, everything is like set to like overdrive. Once that bomb goes off, everything's gonna explode and it's all gonna come crashing down. I'm assuming that's what's gonna happen. So anyway, so then they're scrambling to figure out what to do, and then the head of security dude decides, I'm gonna go down there. Rinko's like, "Wait, you serious, man?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Trust me, it's nothing more than a sauna with the heat turned up." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, that thing's on overdrive. You'll be lucky if you don't melt as soon as you get inside." Obviously, I know he was like, Dad would be like, "Oh, this is nothing." In fact, this is probably kill him. But I'm just saying. So anyway, after that we head back over to Higa. Actually, before we get back to Higa, we see a road. We cut over to the shot of Nemo, and his lights turn and his eyes turn on blue. What happens next is fucking amazing. So then we get back to Higa. Higa's still working on his big laptop, and Kiko decides to go down there because he hears the vibrations and everything. He's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna check it out. Don't worry, I won't do nothing too reckless. I'll be right back." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, have you not seen any horror movies? Never say I'll be right back, because you know that this was a constantly mentioned in the screen films. So come on now." So he goes down the ladder and he leaves Higa to himself. Then we cut over to the head of security. He goes over there. He's like hugging the cover, looking over, making sure there's nobody there, while he's making over his way to the engine. He gets over to where the engines are, and there's like the door, and right from is an automatic door. It opens, and there's one of Gabriel's guys right there, and he starts shooting at him. So he manages to dodge him, but he ends up getting shot in the leg. He's like, "What the hell? Someone left someone behind? What's going on here?" And then after when he's about to like get back into action or whatever, we see Nemo slowly walk towards him, and I'm like, "Oh, what's gonna happen here?" And then he says, "Rinko." And then Rinko's like, "Kayuko?" Or I think she said Akihiko. And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Now at first I thought something like, no. She sees shit. No, there's no way. No way. And then he kind of keeps walking forward. The dude starts shooting at him. And he says, I think he said something along the lines, "I was blessed to have met you, And at that point, I lose my shit. I'm like, motherfucker, I called it! I called it! As you guys know, I mentioned in my reviews a couple weeks ago when the new OP dropped that it might be Kaiba making his return, and I was right! Man, I love being right sometimes. I also hate being right all the time because I was right a couple things when I was watching Steins Gate. I predicted a couple things that would happen around the ending of it, and I was pissed off that I was actually right. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys saw that whole thing when I was watching Steins Gate. Oh, by the way, watch Steins Gate if you have not. It's a great show. So anyway, he's like going over there and he's saying, you know, he's like blocking and he's charging while he keeps getting shot, and you know, like oil or fuel or whatever he's like splashing all over the place, you know, from getting shot at and everything. And he says, you know, is this a Rinko to like keep his dream that she was the one thing that was keeping him connected to reality, and that he wants her to keep it connected. My dream of two worlds that are still divided, yada yada yada. Which at this point I'm like losing, I'm fanboying like crazy. I'm losing my shit. This is like the coolest thing ever in SAO. And I'm not gonna. And so then he keeps walking towards them. He keeps getting shot at, and then Kiko comes right and get a couple well-placed shots and kills the other guy. And then, you know, the security guy picks him up, drags him back, and we get back to Rinko, and we see her. She's like holding her necklace under her shirt that I think Kaiba gave her, if I remember correctly, from the start of Alicization. I'm not sure. It's been a minute since I've seen Alicization, but I think that was what happened. Anyway, she grabs her necklace like through her shirt, and you know, we see, and she like has tears in her eyes and everything. She's smiling. So then we get back to Kaiba. The man gets over to like the door where, you know, leads right into like to the reactor or whatever. He opens it, and like this huge gust of like hot smoke or whatever comes, like, or hot air or whatever comes rushing towards him. It fucks with like all the settings. Two of the things are on the diagram that shows of Nemo. Two of the things are in the red, and the other two are the orange. And they're like saying like, if this keeps up, his battery power is gonna die or whatever. So then he slowly makes his way towards the bomb, as like, you know, the thing is like probably over 1,000 degrees right now. But then the battery pack explodes behind him, and he just leans and he just kind of like slouches over. And at this point I'm like, damn. But at the same point, I kind of knew he was probably gonna come back. I just had that feeling. And then Rinko keeps going on like, "You're Heathcliff of the Divine Blade, aren't you? You are Kirito, the Black Swordsman's greatest rival, aren't you?" You know, and she says that can't you at least perform one miracle? And then he rises up, the lights turn back on his eyes, and he goes over there, rips the explosive or timer off the bomb. It explodes, and then he finally falls down to the ground, going out like an absolute legend. Not gonna lie, this scene was fucking awesome. When I saw this, I was like, this is one of the best episodes of SAO, period. After I saw Kaiba Maester. But I'm not gonna lie, a part of me kind of wish Rookie stuck to his guns and kept this as the final arc of SAO, because knowing that there's still one more arc after this, not gonna lie, it does kind of take away from this moment, because this is the final arc and Kaiba made its return. It still hits, it's still a great moment, but it kind of takes away from it a little bit, knowing that there's still one more arc after this, you know. Now hold on, maybe Kaiba will make its return there again and give Kirito a final send-off. I don't know, but we'll wait and see. But that was still awesome to see Kaiba make his triumphant return. I also thought this was like a really neat little callback back to season 1, because you guys remember season 1, Kirito and Kaiba had like their final duel, and Kirito died, but because of like his own will, he managed to bring himself back to life and finish off Kaiba and beat the game. You guys might remember that. And so I found it kind of cool that Kaiba like died, so to speak, and then Rinko brought him back to life to finish off the job, you know, and rip the explosive out. I thought that was a really nice. I just thought that was a nice little call to season 1, man. I thought that was pretty cool. So anyway, after that, we head over back to Critter and his crews. They finally are on like the submarine or whatever, and they're making their retreat. He looks over to the body bags, and there's only 2. And they mentioned that there was only, and you know, he asked like, "Hey, Shaq, you collected the bodies, right? Anyone missing?" And he's like, "Who else was missing? It was just the commander of the Saga, right?" And like, you know, and like, at first when I saw this part, I was kind of confused, like, who's the third body? I forgot. I didn't really notice that Briggs had died before. So then knowing, I'm like, oh, okay. But I am still kind of curious on why they did not pick up Briggs. Now maybe they forgot about the body, or something else could have happened to the body. We'll talk about that in a second. I think I know what might happen, and I think I might have a sneaky suspicion what might have happened. So anyway, So anyway, they kind of go off, and we head back to Rinko. She talks to Higa saying, hey, their log-up process has begun, and and Rinko says, I'm gonna go where Kirito is, call me if anything happens. So she's about to grab the briefcase with Alice's light cube in it, and then she gets a call from someone from the reactor room, and she asks him from the main engine room, and he asks her like, hey, what's going on? And he tells her that there's no sign of that they took the bomb out, but there's no sign of Nemo, and they show where the body is. There's just like oil or whatever in that area. There's no sign of the body. Now, what could this mean? I think that Briggs's missing body and Nemo disappeared are going to be connected. Now, I don't know if the man's going to if Nemo's going to hook up Briggs's body to one of the STL units, and then upload his consciousness there and just live in the underworld. And maybe get Kirito to be like, yo, what's up, Kirito? Asuna! Sorry I tried to kill you! How's it going, But I brought you two together, or something, I don't know. Could it mean nothing? Could it mean everything? We don't know. But I have a feeling we'll probably find out next week, if not the episode after that. Because I'm very curious on where that goes, and what happens there. Because there's got to be some sort of connection. I doubt it's just a coincidence. So anyway, after that, we head over to the end credits, and I thought this was the episode was over, but we actually got a post-credit scene with that pretty much took place a little right after where we had last episode, where Asuna came to Kirito and be like, hey, Kirito, and also came to show her, hey, I'm going to stick with you. So then we find, once he gets back, once we continue from where that later, Asuna straight up calls him like, yeah, so you're still a crybaby, which I'm like, damn, this one was just exposed, my boy. So they go over there, they hug. I was hoping that they would finally give us a kiss now, but alas, it's not. I mean, we still got a couple more episodes, so there's still hope for it. Hopefully, A1. Come on, you son of a bitches. Give it to me. So anyway, they kind of go over to the edge of where this, the edge of the little area they're on, and they both kind of take out their wings. Asuna's wings has all these feathers appear falling from her, which I thought was kind of extra, but hey, at the same time, it did look pretty cool. And they both fly off into the sunset, or sunrise, or mid-sun, because it was still mid-daylight or whatever. And yeah, man, that is the end of the episode. Now, like I said before, this episode was absolutely fucking fantastic. One of the best episodes of SAO, period, man. And yeah, man, overall, I'm going to give this episode a 10 out of 10. So hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter if you like. Links on the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.